If you're not handling lead gen properly, then your business is going to die. I have seen so many businesses run lead gen ads that have no idea what they are doing, and it completely runs their business into the ground. If you want to see your business grow like a wildfire instead of collapse upon itself, you'll want to know these secrets I'm about to drop. Now, before we get started, take a second. Go ahead and hit like. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss anything else. With that being said, let's dive into it. Now, lead gen is one of the most important parts of business, especially for people that aren't in the D2C space. However, if you start to think of e-commerce as just lead gen and a converting customer as just someone who buys a second time, it's actually the same thing. We have to keep in mind that lead gen is damn near essential for your business to grow. If you can't find new customers, if you're only relying on word of mouth, yes, that's sustainable, but that's only going to keep you where you're at. It's never going to get you to where you deserve to be. And once you can start to create demand on demand at scale, or for you Brits, the world's your Oyster card. Hop on the tube and let's get going. So, elephant in the room, Facebook ads. Why do we run lead gen on Facebook? Well, it's not necessarily the only place that we have to run ads, but it is the place where we're going to have the most stable and widely accessible access to new people in a way where we get to control the conversation and have the least amount of competition for that attention on the internet. Now, there are a lot of other places where you can go and use targeting with keywords and all of that stuff to try to compete for people who are ready to go. And the honest truth is, the folks that win that game have the lowest price, the most reviews, or the biggest pocketbook. You don't need any of that to win on Facebook because it's superior to everything else when it comes to targeting. Let me explain. We know three things to be true. Number one, Facebook ads do the targeting. And number two, on Facebook, all you're ever buying is attention. And the success of your business is directly dependent on your ability to monetize that attention. And number three, the right kinds of attention are going to get you much better conversion rates and be far easier to monetize than the wrong kind. And with Facebook ads and proper measurement of your results and optimization of your creative, there's literally no easier way to scale this to the moon. So let's take a moment and dive into what data actually matter when it comes to lead gen. Because honestly, you're probably looking at all the wrong stuff. First, cost per lead. Yeah, we care about it, but not really. What about conversion rate? Nope, don't care about that either. There's actually other things that matter far more. Now, I'm not saying that the cost per lead is completely irrelevant, and I'm not saying the conversion rate is completely irrelevant. What I'm saying is there's a maximum capacity for overall leads that you can handle. And optimizing for the lowest cost to give you far too many leads than you can actually handle is a problem. Focusing on only the best converting leads ever and leaving your sales team not busy 70-80% of the time, that's also a problem. What we need to do is understand something very important. These are things we call the value, the volume, and the cost. So let's get into the most important things that we need to understand when it comes to lead gen ads. We have to look at the unit economics of the attention that we're buying. Now, this breaks down into three categories: value, volume, and cost. And in general, the higher the value, the higher the cost. And as such, the lower the volume. And inversely, the lower the value, the lower the cost, the higher the volume. Now, here's the thing. If you can categorize your lead into bad, good, and great just by how they fill out a lead form, maybe some people include their email, maybe they don't. Maybe they have a certain job title, or maybe they don't. Maybe they include their phone number, or they don't. Maybe they live in a certain part of town, or have answered a certain question in a certain way. And if you can use that to validate that lead and categorize it into bad, good, or great, we can pass that information back to Facebook. Now, what this means is we can have custom conversion events for each one of these offline events that we're passing back to Facebook, bad, good, or great. And now we can evaluate the creative concepts that we're running as ads as buying bad, good, or great value, which means we can begin to organize our ads by what volume we ultimately need to have. Now, let's say you can handle 10 sales calls a day. If you only bought 3 great leads every single day, well, that means 70% of the time you could be spent talking to people, you aren't. We could also inversely drive 20 bad leads a day and you wouldn't be even able to talk to everybody. There's going to be a balance. And this is what's most important. Now we can begin to budget our concept and organize our creative testing strategy around what types of leads do we need to get more of. We're not trying to get them for the lowest cost, and we're not trying to drive the highest conversion rate. No, we're trying to say a perfect mix for me might be something like, well, 50% great and 30% good, and honestly, I can handle 20% of bad just because 1 out of 1,000 of them is going to be good for me, which means now we can budget our spend and organize our creative testing strategy around the types of attention that we're buying, not the cost or the conversion rate. We can go in and say the perfect balance for my business might be something like, I can afford to buy 70% great leads and I want 30% good leads. They're not as good, but I can get more of them. And basically that means that my call center is busy all the time. And I know what kind of ads attract the type of attention that is ultimately leading me to a bad quality lead. And I can just stop running those ads. And what this means is we can ultimately now budget for what is the cost of a great lead? What is the cost of a good lead? And more importantly, how do I stop running ads that buy me bad leads? And to be fair, sometimes the great leads are cheaper than the bad ones. And sometimes those bad leads, well, they might be the best ad you have running. So now we get down to the most important part. What is an actual lead worth? And what this means is you might have the same AOV for every single lead. Anybody that buys is $100. But if 1 out of 10 people who are a great lead buy, that means that lead is worth $10. If 1 out of 20 good leads buy, that means it's worth $5, right? Because 100 divided by 10, 10. 100 divided by 20 is 5. Maybe your bad leads are only worth $1.50, but maybe they're getting 25 to 30% of your spend because you're not actually looking at what type of attention best converts. Now, we can go and say, what I want to do is get better at buying great leads. And I can start to do creative testing to make the acquisition cost of great leads better while monitoring the conversion rate of those great leads. If I can reduce my cost to acquire a great lead by 20% and I actually lose the conversion rate of say 10% on it, that's a good investment because ultimately I'm still getting a higher volume of great leads and I can pay for that by spending a little bit less money on the ads that drive me good leads. So ultimately now I am running this like an investment portfolio with my primary objective saying I want to spend every dollar I've got budget and I don't want there to be any downtime and opportunity for me to contact leads. And ultimately, I want to, in a projectable fashion, understand the value, the volume, and the cost of the leads coming from Facebook, and I can begin to work very specifically on what aspect of my mix I want to improve upon. Fun fact, sometimes the right move is to just make those bad leads worth a little bit more. And if you can take a bad lead and make it worth $2 instead of $1 and it only costs you $1.50, it might actually be the best thing for you to invest on if you've got unlimited capacity to handle those leads. Perhaps you have a SaaS with an email drip. Why are you buying more expensive, higher quality leads that ultimately inhibit your overall profitability upside? That's something to think about. Now, I've learned this from running 8, 9-figure SaaS companies and building lead gen agencies around the world. It really comes down to the unit economics of the value, the volume, and the cost of the attention that you're buying, and then prioritizing that with a budget to maximize your investment portfolio. Now, if you want to maximize your value as a marketer and improve the volume of business that you can get and do it for a really great cost, check down below and look at the Disruptor School. You can join for a 7-day trial, which means you can bail anytime that you want. And there's also a quarterly billing option. And if you want to invest even more to get an even greater output, down below that is the Facebook Ads MBA program. Also, if you have any questions on this stuff, or you want to challenge me on any of these things, please drop it down below. You'll also see see in the description links for the merch store, for one-on-one consulting with me so that we can actually build out value, volume, and cost tables for your business and help you scale to the moon like you deserve while doing far less work and being way more actionable. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. And with that being said, YouTube thinks you might like a couple of these videos. Don't forget to smash the button. And until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye.